we know how to calculate our determinants, we can apply that to solving systems of equations using Cramer's rule. So these systems, we've already talked about how to solve by graphing, substitution, and elimination. So this is just another method for solving those same types of problems that we did in our previous chapter. So with our matrices, and when we use this method, the format of our equations matter. So I always need it to be in this format where it's the x term plus the y term equal to a number. So it always has to be in that format. Now the types of numbers, so if we have positives, negatives, or fractions, that part doesn't matter as long as that's following this formatting. Okay. So in this general system, the x and the y are the variables. All the other letters represent a number. And when we write our matrices, we are using the coefficients of our terms here and then the constants. Okay. So our first matrix, and I'm just going to use the letter C for coefficient. Now I think in Alex, when you start seeing these, it's going to use the letter D, but this letter doesn't matter. Okay, so it's just kind of a placeholder right now. So our coefficient matrix is going to be equal to the coefficients of this part. So I'm going to put the A, the B, the C, and the D. Okay. So these are always the coefficients with the X and then the coefficients with the Y. Okay. Our next matrix is going to be the CX matrix. Okay. So what that means is we are going to replace the X column with the constants. Okay, so now instead of writing x's here, I'm going to replace it with what the equations are equal to. Okay, so this will be m and n, so these, and then my y column is going to be the same. So I'm going to still use the b and the d. All right, so again, those were the coefficients in front of y. Okay, so this one is going to help us figure out our x variable, and then we're going to have a CY matrix. So from my coefficient matrix, this time I am replacing the y column with the constants. So whatever letter we're trying to find in that column, we are replacing that with what our equations are equal to. All right, so x stays the same, so I'm using A and C, so A and C. And then in where my y would be, we are now writing the constant. So that's going to be the m and the n. Okay, so I'm going to abbreviate constant. Okay, now notice the vertical bars. So we are finding the determinants of each. So once we have the determinant numbers, our x is going to be equal to the determinant of our CX matrix divided by the coefficient matrix. And then y is equal to the determinant of the CY matrix divided by the determinant of our coefficient matrix. Okay. And then we are still going to write our final answer as a point, because when we are solving a system of equations, we're still trying to find that intersection point. So those are the formulas that we're going to need to know, and you'll be able to write those down on a note sheet so you don't have to memorize them. But once we start doing a bunch of these problems, the memorizing tends to happen naturally as we do this.